Guys, I apologize. We just did the first 2 minutes of our show and we weren't even live. That's hilarious. So, hey, hello, here we are. Welcome back to the JP and Trav show. It's your boy JP and the homie Trav is to my right. As he said earlier, that you guys didn't hear, what a day it's been, right? It's been quite the day for Sooner Nation that we're going to be excited to recap. I'm not feeling that well, as you can probably hear through your audio, but I'm still going to speak as much as I can. Here in about 15 minutes, actually 10 minutes from now, we'll be joined by our friends John and Jose from Two Plane Sports channel. Has about 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. They do great OU content. Make sure you go over there and check them out. But we'll let them tell their story when they get here. Other than that, Trav, man, like, tell us how your day has been, just as far as when the Baker news dropped, when Jaquez Petaway's news dropped. Obviously, we know you got your space big time coming up on Saturday. Which, if you haven't RSVP, y'all go ahead and RSVP on Twitter. The Trav Space, OU Rumors and News, the original on Saturday.
That's right. That's right. Thank you guys all for being here with us today. I'll tell you what, we're stacking a lot of really good days, aren't we? I believe it was Thursday that, last Thursday, obviously, that we get, Jackson gets the Elite 11 MVP. You get the Samuel Omosigo commitment, 4-star linebacker, right, out of Texas. You get, and that was between us and Florida, always a good time to recruiting win over Florida. And then you get the Big Ten news with USC and UCLA. It's amazing we haven't had a show since then. There's just been so much to talk about. So just with that, and now you think, man, what a day, right? You've all this stuff going on, and then turn the page to today. I mean, Baker gets traded to the Panthers, to Carolina. How big is that? I've already actually started with my guy Jake. Some of you may know Jake. He was with me in some spring game photos. He was one of the guys that helped me smoke tomahawks for the recruiting events. Anyways, good dude. We're already planning tonight. Like, okay, we got to go see November 10th is Carolina hosting Atlanta, and then Morgantown, OU West Virginia is 2 days later. And we're like, if we could do a road trip to Nashville and then to Carolina for Thursday night, and then we're already planning, man. I couldn't be more excited about all this. So, anyways, appreciate y'all tuning in. Been a fantastic day. Obviously, July is a hot recruiting month for us. We've jumped, from like 40th to 25th or something like that, which, 25th is embarrassing. We're going to be, by the end of the month, we'll be top 10. And by the end of the cycle, I think we'll probably be top 8. But that's what happens when people who don't know anything about recruiting and don't listen to people when they say, hey, this is Brent Venable's schedule, this is how he does it. That's why July is going to pop with a bunch of commitments. And we're not going to have a bunch of flips like we had under Riley. Everybody tried telling everybody that. We tried telling people this on the show, and we say, look, it's going to happen. So, we stand to, by the end of the week, we stand to add 2 more players. Next week, we're already getting another one. Like, it's crazy. We've got a commitment coming up Friday that we are favored in for Caden Green. That would be big. That is, I believe he's the number 12 offensive lineman in the class. Big stud out of Lee Summit in the Kansas City area. That'd be big time, and he's a guy that can recruit his peers. PJ Adebaware is one of his peers that he is going to help recruit. And then Logan Howland has taken a turn to the good guys. It seemed like he was a lock to Iowa. It doesn't seem like that so much so anymore. Could be wrong. It's kind of a 50-50, maybe 51-49 shot. But OU was on the outside looking in up until a couple days ago. Now, OU seems to be liking their position. So if we're able to lock up 2 linemen back-to-back and back-to-back days, that would just continue to bolster what we've been talking about. It's a great July. And I'm glad there's a Trojan fan in here because speaking of also offensive linemen, Lincoln Riley's been known for wide receivers, running backs. I mean, you look at their class, incredible. Malachi Nelson, Makai Lemon, Zachariah Branch, number one overall receiver in that class. You look at the lowest rated singular person in their class, it is an offensive lineman, and he is the only one in the class. I'm sure he can play. Totally get it. But it's probably Jacob or somebody saying that they're a lifelong Trojan fan. I I can't see their profile, but that seems like it
That's
might
something
be.
you do.
But anyways, the thing about Lincoln Riley, man, the offensive line, he can't attract them. They keep on losing out on them. They're currently the 13th ranked class. I expect that. I expect them to fall behind because what do we know about Lincoln Riley classes? Flips. Because he's like, oh man, come, commit whenever you want, commit.
Mhm.
And then you got a guy like Zachariah Branch taking a little visit down to A&M. I'm going to allow you guys 10 seconds to answer this in the chat. That way, hopefully, it doesn't give you time to look it up. 10 seconds. I don't know. People in the chat ready? 10 seconds. I'm going to ask you a question. I need the answer within 10 seconds. Give me the number, the ranking, the 247 ranking that you think A&M's recruiting class is right now. A&M's recruiting class 247. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we gotta wake up, folks, in the chat.
There we
Whoa,
go.
there they all loaded. Okay,
Some of the top ones. There you go.
45. Nobody is low enough yet.
Got 1, 45, 35, 37, 51,
They
38,
are
52.
60th.
Bang.
Jason, I think you got that in a minute, in 30 seconds. But regardless, 60th. Incredible. They're gonna buy some people off. They're going to, and I would love for Zachariah Branch to be one of them because that'd be hilarious. But regardless, oh, and then I get buffering. Oh, that's funny. But that's the thing. We're in great shape. Florida's ranked in the 40th. A&M's ranked 60. There are some rumors that A&M is not paying out their NIL deals, even though they are making some absurd promises in their NIL deals. Absurd promises. Something like they ain't making any more of it type promises. And anyways, I do think Oklahoma is really, really setting up nicely. You will want to tune into the space on Saturday. We will have at least one of our new commits on the space to kind of talk to you guys about what went through the process, everything like that. Really excited about that space. We're bringing OU rumors and news back. Parker and I will be on there, just giving the goods. So, anyways, really excited about where recruiting's going. July will continue to supply fireworks. We even got the Hayes Fawcett tweet. Said, I think it's safe to say it's time to queue up the Oklahoma recruiting on the rise.
That's right.
And if Hayes Fawcett says it, I know some people don't like decommitment edits or whatever with Hayes. Hayes always been nothing but nice to me.
He's
I
been
like
on
the
the
guy.
show. He's a friend of the show.
He's a friend of the show. I like the guy a lot. And I don't think it's interesting because I think this is one of the first times in really college football recruiting history where one man has really been entrusted with so much information.
That man knows so much.
I mean, making these edits and everything like that. Can you imagine all the dudes that are I've talked to coaches that don't know whether we're going to get a player, and nobody knows except Hayes because he's the one that made the edit, right? So, anyways, when Hayes says, "Hey, you're recruiting about to get hot," I mean, if you don't trust us, trust him because he's the one making the edits for all these guys.
That's true.
So yes, Drew Parker did get blocked by Cale Gundy. I have been blocked in the past by Cale Gundy. For those of you that don't know, I got blocked by Cale. I think it was because I was making fun of his brother about something. But when I helped out with one of the recruiting events, I brought that Rolls Royce up there for a photo shoot. It wasn't a recruiting event; it was a photo shoot for Lincoln. And I get a text from a 405 number said, "Hey, it's Cale Gundy. Appreciate you helping out today." And I was like, "Absolutely. But would you mind unblocking me on Twitter?" He was like, "Oh, that's weird. I usually only block people that say something negative about the program or our players or our coaches." I was like, "Yeah, that's not me. It wouldn't have been me." So,
Looks like
anyways, it
here.
was so funny when Parker texted me the other day and he was like, "Dude, Cale blocked me." I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Just cracks me up. Cracks me up. So, yeah, so things are going really well. I mean, obviously, the big news of the day for us is Baker Mayfield becoming a Carolina Panther. It'll be interesting to see the the fate of Robbie Anderson, because he was very active in Instagram and everything, saying no, all this. And here's the thing: he's come out and said, "I was just trying to defend my quarterback." Well, there were a ton of Deshaun Watson rumors going to Carolina and photoshops and edits and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He was nowhere to be found. I guess he wasn't on social media that day or those multiple days. But when somebody said Carolina, he hopped in and said no. And now he's trying to say, "Well, I was just trying to be supportive of my quarterback. Stop trying to make the narrative out to be." No. No, you didn't have to say anything. Nobody asked you how you felt about Baker. Nobody asked you a damn thing. And you're out here entering yourself into the conversation. The only reason 90% of people know Robbie Anderson's name right now is because he's associated with Baker Mayfield. He got in trouble. I think he assaulted a police officer or something like that when he was on the Jets, I think, or something like that. Had a couple good games with them. But, I mean, he made this bed because he didn't say anything about the Deshaun Watson rumors, but he said something about Baker, and now he's like, "Well, I was just being loyal to my quarterback. I was just protecting my quarterback." Seems weird.
Yeah.
Seems a bit weird.
It is definitely bizarre, that whole thing. And like I told you guys before, we, as it says on the show title, we have our good friends from Two Plane Sports that are coming on. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Brandon on just as we speak. Brandon, how you doing, man?
Good. Thanks for having us, guys. We're excited.
Of course.
We just finished up with Parker Thune. So as soon as that wrapped up, we hopped over here.
Is that what? Man, I called Parker like 20 minutes ago or like 30 minutes ago, and he wouldn't pick up.
Yeah,
he texted me. He's like, "I'll hit you right back." So he's been texting me now. I was like, "Oh man, how'd I known?"
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
It was awesome. Yeah, we talked a lot of recruiting and a little bit of Baker Mayfield.
Hey, Jacob.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. Can't complain. Sorry we were just a few minutes late.
No,
I'm sure Brandon was filling you in.
Well, he was. Welcome in. Knows that you guys just got done with Parker, and so Trav was just saying he was trying to get in touch with Parker, and that's why he couldn't get.
I called Parker like a half an hour ago, and he wouldn't pick up, and like hit the ignore button real quick. I was like, "What?
Yeah.
How you gonna just deny my call on one ring, dude? I mean, we just drove 17 hours straight to Vegas.
I was about to
17 hours back. Like you don't just not pick up my phone call. Like what the hell, bro? So
I think I saw him during the video look down at his phone and hit the button real quick and trying to be.
So you got video evidence.
I think so. I might be dreaming it. I'm not sure. Maybe he did it on his laptop or something.
Oh man.
I'm glad that he was on with y'all because I was about I was about to call him later tonight and be like, "Yo, man, like we gotta talk, man. We
Yeah.
gotta talk."
Oh gosh. All right. Jose should be
Absolutely.
joining us.
Oh.
All right.
Jose should be. Oh, I see him now. Okay, he was
There
down
we
there.
go.
Here we go. There we got the whole crew now.
How's
Jose,
it
how you
going?
doing?
It's just so
Good.
many
Thanks
people.
for having us. I was watching the last little minute. Yeah, Parker was it was a good time. I'm sure that the drive to Vegas was a good time. Just talking about
Yeah.
recruiting for however long that drive was.
Yeah, I feel like just by osmosis, I knew more about recruiting after spending so much time around him. I was just like, I got home and I was like, I woke up the next day. I was like, I think this commit is leaning towards us. I was like, how do I know this all of a sudden? I was like, I don't know what happened. So, yeah, the osmosis took care of it. So I appreciate you guys coming on. I feel like I don't know how much Power Rangers y'all watched when you were growing up, but like when they all combined to make like their Megazord or whatever the heck they called it, like I feel like I'm kind of in charge of the dinosaur right now a little bit, like being in the middle. Like I feel like I got my arms and my legs right here, and we can go to battle with any other five pronged podcast.
Let's do it. Let's see if we can get a Browns podcast on. I'm sure they would love for a battle right now.
I would love.
Yeah, right.
I would eat that up.
Yeah. Jeez.
You guys see this?
Let's start off talking about Baker Mayfield and the initial reactions. We'll go Brandon, Jacob, and then we'll go Jose after that. I know JP's got a little voice thing going on, so he's probably not going to talk too much. He may just kind of do the old producer thing and kind of run the behind the scenes. So luckily, there are plenty of dudes in the chat, so I don't have to do much heavy lifting with so much company. So anyways, as JP just put up, clear eyes, full hearts, Baker was traded for a conditional 5th-round pick to the Carolina Panthers today. What can we expect out of him this season? And again, the conditional 5th-round pick. For the details, obviously, for those of you that don't know them, the Browns paid $10.5 million. Baker ate $3.5, means he did not get that $3.5. And then Carolina paid $5 million. Carolina did say that he can make up that $3.5 that he lost in incentives, and then they're going to give him a shot at a long-term deal. So Carolina gets a number 1 overall pick, quarterback that has started and won a playoff game and once held the rookie touchdown record for $5 million. That is a steal. That is a bargain in this economy. With gas prices and everything like that, $5 million for a quarterback, my goodness. So So, anyways, let's go around the chat. So we're gonna go this way.
Sounds
There
good.
we go.
Brandon, you're muted, bud.
Oh, my bad. Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
All right, I busted out the plant the flag sweatshirt because of the trade today. I'm very excited,
Nice.
very much excited for Baker Mayfield. My first reaction was, it's a steal for Carolina. I think Baker Mayfield's a hell of a player, and this is how Cleveland, in my opinion, saves poverty. They had the audacity in the offseason to talk about how they want an adult in the quarterback room, this, that, and the other. And then they trade for a guy and pay $286 million guaranteed for a dude who realistically probably won't play this year and may not ever play for them with all the stuff he's up against with the legal stuff. So the Browns, I don't understand why they. I mean, whatever. I think that's how they stay bad. They're a joke. For Baker, when we had Parker on our show that drops Friday, he was hoping to see him in Seattle, and I think Seattle would have been a better spot just as far as the offense around him with the weapons with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and those receivers. But I think he can have a pretty damn good year in Carolina. He's got weapons there. I think DJ Moore's a star. Obviously, CMC, if he can stay healthy, is one of the best running backs, if not the best running back in the league. I just can't wait to see week 1 where Browns Panthers. I hope he goes for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm excited to see him get out of Cleveland because At the end of the day, if he wouldn't have gotten traded, I wouldn't have blamed him to show back up and go play. I know he said he didn't or he wouldn't do it. He had a lot of money guaranteed to him, so I wouldn't have blamed him for going back. But he got his way out, and he was able to go to Carolina. He's going to a place that they've got some good weapons. As long as Christian McCaffrey can stay healthy, DJ Moore's there, Robbie Anderson's there. And Matt Rule is coming from the Big 12.
Charleston Rambo.
Yeah,
Charleston Rambo.
Rambo's there too. And then Matt Rule is their head coach. Big 12. He's got the ties. He might be able to kind of go back to the roots, and he kind of knows how Baker's been playing and what makes him good. He's not going to be asked to do a whole lot. The expectations of the number 1 overall pick aren't on him anymore. I mean, they gave up a conditional 5th round pick. He comes in, he has a chip on his shoulder, which that typically is when he's playing his best. He will probably, not run it, not talk a bunch of crap right now. He's probably going to let his play, talk and speak for himself. I think he's going to play really well. I'm not saying that Carolina's a Super Bowl contender because that team as a whole is not up to that caliber. But I think he's going to have a really good year, and I think he's going to earn himself a solid contract extension with them, or he might be able to walk away if they don't franchise tag him and go get a good deal somewhere else. I really think he's going to have a good bounce back year, and people have to remember that Baker and the Browns were 1 play away in Kansas City to beat them if they wouldn't have fumbled that ball out of the back of the end zone. If that wouldn't have happened, they would have scored a touchdown there. We're probably talking a whole different narrative. Not saying that they would have went to the Super Bowl and or won. Just the perception of him probably would have been different. And he's also a victim of last year. He wasn't. The Cleveland Browns weren't holding him back when they should have. He's such a competitor, and he wanted to play through his injuries. And I think he became a victim of, I'm going to play through it. And people just started assuming that was his, that's him now. And I think an off season for him to heal, get a new system, go somewhere where he feels like he wants to be wanted. I think he'll do well.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up real quick, Jacob, Jose, before you get started. I'm glad you brought up the injury because, it's a hindsight's 2020, right? If he sits down and says, you know what, can't go. I know all year, ESPN, Fox, all these, people were saying that this is the year the Browns are back. Not that they were ever here in the first place, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it's the Browns' year. So it's in hindsight, of course, he should have shut it down. But what he was concerned with was, man, if I say, oh, I can't play, I'm in too much pain, what's the narrative, right? What does Colin Cowherd say? Well, I like my quarterbacks to fight through the pain. Backwards hat guy decides to take it, take the injury, off for the rest of the season, get surgery. The team was loaded, the run game, the defense we say is really good, but keeps on giving up 40-point, losses. Anyways, I think he was damned if he did, damned if he didn't. I think the Browns were going to find a way to screw it up because, they say love finds a way, but failure finds a way in Cleveland, and it was going to find a way. So, it was injury. If he shuts it down, it might be a different story today. But he toughed it out, the right thing to do, and now he's Carolina Panthers. So, Jose, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, so kind of going off what you guys were just talking about, I actually don't think that him sitting versus him playing would have made a difference. I think the Browns are looking to move off of him anyways. I'm not sure about you guys, but I watch the Pat McAfee show almost every single day, and he talks about it quite often with his experience with the Colts. Once Peyton Manning and all the vets left, and they got a new front office, that new front office was trying to clean house so that what success potentially could have come out of that was credited to them. I think Andrew Berry was probably going to try to do the same thing with Baker Mayfield. He wasn't his guy. He probably wasn't very high on Baker Mayfield coming out of the draft. So regardless of him playing, I think him playing and not doing well just made it easier to sell to the fans, because now the fans are like, oh, well, we sucked last year. Like, how are we going to be any better going into the next season with Baker Mayfield? We need to find a franchise guy, which, Deshaun Watson, he may be talented, but who knows? Like Brandon said, if he's ever going to play in the NFL, that's still to be determined by the NFL. Now, with Carolina, I mean, they started 3-0 last year with Sam Darnold, who we all know is not a very good quarterback. He might be an okay backup quarterback for the rest of his career, and that's probably still a stretch because he throws a lot of interceptions, way more than Baker Mayfield does. And that's a criticism that Baker gets all the time. So if with Baker, I think they're fine. I don't think that there's a lack of weapons. I mean, they have DJ Moore, they have CMC. If CMC can just pretend like it's Madden and turn off the injury bug, then he'll be fine, right? And I mean, they've got other weapons, right? You said Charleston Rambo. If he can get some time to play, they have chemistry from Oklahoma. Robbie Anderson can get over whatever hatred he had over Baker Mayfield. Robbie Anderson's a good wide receiver. They'll be just fine. Baker can throw the deep ball just as well as anyone else in the NFL, and Robbie has some speed on him. The defense, I think, was
getting connected back with Higgins as well.
Yeah,
that was always
Higgins,
one of his favorite targets. Exactly. He was happier than anybody to see that trade. That gets his value up. He's going to get paid more money because Baker's there.
Exactly. Yeah. The weapons surrounding Baker Mayfield are not the concern. I think it's Ben McAdoofus who might absolutely destroy that guy's career in Carolina. That guy's never been a good coordinator. I don't know how he keeps getting a job. He sucked as a Giants head coach, and he didn't even like Baker Mayfield. Again, coming out of the draft, today he was like, something came out. He actually said he was the worst quarterback in that group of quarterbacks that came out that year. Like, there's not, at least with Carolina, what's holding him back could potentially be the offensive coaching, not the weapons. If Ben McAdoo is an average offensive coordinator next year, this team is going to be good enough. They might even being towards the end of the season, be fighting for a playoff spot, or at least be in that, that conversation where you need a lot of things to happen to be in that 7th playoff position. That might be where the Panthers are. And if that goes well, then, I mean, Tepper, he's looking for a quarterback to put the franchise on that guy's back. If Baker Mayfield can show that he can do that with a very incompetent offensive coordinator, I think Tepper was going to open up the Brinks truck and just say, how much money do you want me to write on this check? And it can be fully guaranteed, because he's one of the richest owners in the NFL. They're all billionaires, and that guy's one of the richest billionaires in the league. So he's just going to, if he feels like Baker's the guy, he'll be the guy for the next 5 years. If he's not, then like you said, Travis, he'll just go on to another opportunity. And if he can put in that like 9-8 season, whatever, if he can just be that team can be average, be drafting in the middle of the first round next year, I think he'll get a decent contract with, maybe it could be Tampa Bay. Tom Brady, you never know what his future is going to be. That guy seems to be never aging, but at some point he's going to have to retire. His wife has come up, said multiple times, and it's been public, that she'd love him to be at home more regularly, but that guy loves football too much to be there. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, that's always a situation in the offseason where you never know if that guy's going to stay or retire or go somewhere else. Baker Mayfield could be a Packer in 2023. There's so many opportunities with aging quarterbacks that it's just going to have to be a wait and see, but it's definitely not going to be Baker's fault if it is bad, or the weapons surrounding him. So I'm assuming there's no injuries. I'm just speaking like fully healthy, this team is fine. It's the coaching, really, because Rule is supposed to be some defensive genius. They've been all right. I wouldn't say they've been amazing. They haven't been, outstanding. And again, not a big believer in Ben McAdoo, so we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, McAdoo was quoted from the draft taking Josh Rosen and Mason Rudolph above Baker Mayfield, which is clearly foolish. The nicest way to put it is foolish, I think. So, but yeah, it will depend. What I do like a lot is their division. When you think of where he could have ended up, I guess probably the Vegas odds would have had Seattle, Carolina, and him returning to Cleveland as the top 3 odds. Well, you look at Cleveland in the AFC North, you've got the defending Super Bowl representative of the AFC there. Pittsburgh hasn't had a losing season since Nam And obviously, Baltimore's got a lot to like on their roster. They're looking with Lamar Jackson in that coaching staff, and Justin Tucker, let's be honest, wins half of their games for them. They're going to be a playoff contender at minimum every year. So you look at, what he could have done in Seattle. I mean, the 49ers are kind of the same. They're going to be good. They seemingly always are. Shanahan always figures something out. Then you have the Super Bowl champions, and then you have the fighting Kyler Murrays throwing to the fighting Hollywood Browns. So that's going to go well. So really from a competition standpoint, you have to like where he ends up because he's actually going to have a chance. You're not losing 5 out of 6 division games when you're playing, Atlanta and New Orleans, when you're going against them. I mean, obviously a lot of people would expect the Buccaneers to probably sweep Carolina. They might be able to get one from them, but you're not looking at a absolute buzzsaw like you're looking at those other 2 places. So I do like that. Obviously the coaching leaves some things to be desired, but he's definitely got a chance. There's no doubt about it.
I think the Saints are going to be a sneaky good team where Carolina and them are going to be competing. It just depends on their new head coach because Jameis Winston's, and he might throw a lot of picks, but he also throws a lot of touchdowns. So if he did get LASIK,
teams.
Yeah, he did get LASIK since his last time as a starting quarterback. I think they were like 5-2 last year before he got hurt. So this could be good. And then they brought in Jarvis Landry. They picked up Tyrann Mathieu like that, and they're getting back Michael Thomas. The only thing that might be stopping them a little bit is Kamara being suspended for the first 6 games. But I think Saints could be because of Kamara not being there for 6 games. I think the Saints are going to be competing with the Panthers for who's going to be the second representative in the NFC South, if there's a second one. But I definitely the Buccaneers. I wouldn't say that they're definitely going to be in it. Number 1 seed probably.
Yeah,
Right.
and the last thing I'll add on this whole topic is at the end of the day, Baker just needed a fair chance, a second chance at, a fair shake. If he would have been the starter in Cleveland this year or, half season or whatever it's going to be, it looks like Watson won't play the entire year. It wouldn't have felt like a fair chance or a fair opportunity for him, considering how much money they've already committed to Deshaun Watson, fully guaranteeing. He's coming into a situation. Exactly. And he's coming in now to Carolina, whether it's a great coaching or not. I definitely agree that Ben McAdoo is not the greatest. But at the end of the day, he's getting a fair chance. He's getting a chance to prove himself and a chance to cash in. He could, if he plays really well, whether it's the Panthers or someone else, someone's going to give him a big contract if he produces this fall.
Right, and Carolina had said that. They said reports came out that they had said not only can you make your 3.5 back through incentives, but there's plans here for a long-term deal if this goes as we expect it to go. Because as Jose was saying earlier, I mean, they need some stability at quarterback. They haven't had any stability at quarterback since Cam, and I'm not talking the most recent time that Cam was there. I mean, like a couple times ago that Cam was there. That was the last time they had stability. When Cam wouldn't dive on that ball in the Super Bowl, ever since then, they've been a train wreck at quarterback. So he is just looking for somebody to have stability because there are some teams, and I'm speaking from a Vikings fan perspective, and this is often what we are, we're too afraid to be bad to take the swing to be great, right? So we will give Kirk Cousins all the money he ever wants because that guy's going to win 7 to 11 games. Like, it just is what it is. We're not going to be bad. We're not going to be the laughing stock or anything like that. We also have 0 Super Bowls. So there's something to be said there. But I think the nice thing about that is if you're a Carolina fan, maybe not great. If you're a Baker Mayfield fan, could be great because they might say, you know what, this guy offers stability. Let's pay him. At least we won't be a laughing stock. Our quarterback won't be seeing ghosts. People will stop asking me about, McCaffrey's injuries, this, that, and the other. Like, a little bit of stability goes a long way with billionaires. So especially ones that could lose half their money and still be one of the richest owners in the sport. So let's move on a little bit. What else you got, JP? You got something on deck?
Yeah, and just to add really quick, the stupidest thing I heard today by Rob Ninkovich, who I cannot stand that man. Okay, for those of
I'm
you
with
who
you.
watch ESPN, anything like that, he said on NFL Live today, and I quote, "They're paying Sam Darnold 19 million. He's going to be the starting quarterback. Baker's going to have to unseat him." And I'm just like, "Are you that dense, bro?" Like, it just, yeah. That's all I gotta say about that. So I'm excited about Baker. I'll say that, and I think all you guys had great points. So moving on, as you guys, probably most of you guys saw today, the preseason All Big 12 team came out, and Oklahoma only had one player on the team. That is our great punter, who will probably be an All-American. Michael Turk, hang time on YouTube. For those of you who don't know, go subscribe. Great channel, great guy. This is a problem for me. Obviously, preseason teams don't mean anything, but it's a slap in the face of disrespect. Brent Venables even said so, right? Talking about kind of getting the work done in the dark, as he tweeted out earlier. But this is bulletin board material. One, I want to get your reaction from everybody, and we can go in the same circle like Trav just did, just as far as like how shocked were you that happened, and then secondly, who do you expect to actually see on the postseason list that we don't see on the preseason list from OU?
I'm gonna go first so I can take all the good answers. I'm gonna take. I'll take. We'll do one offensive, one defensive. I'll take Marvin Mims, and I'll take Ethan Downs as mine. But initial reaction is, you know what teams have their punters win these type of awards? Teams that are punting a lot. So not only are we disrespected by not having any players on the offense or defense, but them selecting our punter, which Turk's a monster. He's going to be punting on Sundays. There's no doubt about it. But just the way that these awards go, you don't win a lot of All-American punting if you're never punting. So that was kind of a little extra slap in the face. So anyways, it's one of those where we saw a lot of these takes early on. Whenever Lincoln left, it was, oh, they're going to be no good. All their players are going to leave, blah, blah, blah. Well, now the national media and everybody's come around, been like, oh, actually, they're going to be really good. But somebody missed out on the All Big 12 ballot. Nobody told all the media in the All Big 12. So we'll see. But anyways, we'll keep circling around. So go ahead.
I was listening to the ref on my way home from work today, and I think Teddy Lehman said it best, and I couldn't agree more with what he said. Is he doesn't care who's on the All Big 12 preseason team because it doesn't matter. When what does matter is the postseason list, as we're talking about. And JP, like you said, it's definitely bulletin board material. I mean, there's no doubt that some of our guys should have on there. It's ridiculous to me that we're not. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be just extra added on motivation, as if this team needs any more. Their head coach quit on them. So they're already playing through that. They got a new great head coach, and now this is another thing to just piss them off and get them going. So I think it's going to be ultimately good for us. I think we can have multiple guys on the postseason list, both offensively and defensively. If we're doing 1-1, as Travis started, I'll stick with the receivers too, but I'll go Jalil Farouk. I think Jalil Farouk's going to have a pretty big year for Oklahoma. And defensively, I'll stick on the defensive line too and go Reggie Grimes. I think he's due for a breakout year. He's a guy that's kind of, he hasn't really been able to chip away and break through yet. And I think this is finally the year. It's either him or Clayton Smith on that spot. And I guess I'll pick Grimes.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I might take the last few easy ones, and Jose's going to be left with come up with a couple more. I'll do 1-1 as well. On the defensive side, I see Danny Stutzman. I don't see why he couldn't take that next step, being coached up by Coach V. He obviously showed what he could be, and that was under a staff that I felt like wasn't coaching the defense well last year, and he pushed through that and was able to produce on the field. Along the offense, I'm not going to say Dylan Gabriel. I know he's like a Heisman dark horse or whatever, but I see someone that could play really well as Chris Murray. along the offensive line. I don't see why Chris Murray could not be on this postseason All Big 12 team. I know 3 out of the 5 are from Baylor, but Chris Murray came in, and it seemed like, and maybe it's just me, and it's been a long time since I've watched, last season's games, but he seemed to be the most consistent player last year, and he had a little more of the veteran leadership along that offensive line. I feel like Chris Murray could take that next step. And just overall, yes, I do think this is bulletin board material. At the end of the day, I think everyone is just is not sure what they should expect with Venables. But at the end of the day, I mean, I'm sure, the way we talk about him on our show, and I'm sure you guys agree, the more I've thought about it, the more we've talked about it, I feel more and more confident with Venables and his staff at the helm. And I think this team, while they might not win a national championship this fall, they could compete for it. This team will most definitely, in my opinion, win the Big 12, even though they only have one, preseason player, all Big 12 player. This is a team that I don't think anyone's going to want to see. And this is a team that I don't think is going to really struggle at the beginning of games and playing, catch up. Venables is the ultimate motivator, totally different than Riley from, the outside looking in. It seems like everyone's bought in, and Venables has kind of brought that all-in mantra and mindset from Clemson. It's worked for them. Why can't it work for Oklahoma? And Venables knows what it takes to win. Obviously, he's won 3 national championships, and they won't come out and explicitly probably acknowledge that that's it and this is motivation for him. But I think it definitely is. But those would be my 2 guys. I think there could be a handful more, though, even who we're not talking about so far.
All right. So I need a refresher because you guys took all the easy ones. So I just want to make sure that I'm not repeating anyone's answers. So can we go in a circle again to make sure I'm not messing this up?
Yeah.
Oh, I did Marvin Mims and Ethan Downs.
Okay. You're muted, Brandon.
I picked Jalil Farouk and Reggie Grimes.
And then I was Stutzman and Chris Murray.
All right. I think I'm good then. So on defense, I'm picking Woody Washington. He finally gets a DB coach that actually played DB and has coached DBs before, unlike an outside linebackers coach who for some reason is now coaching corners. So I think he'll have a massive improvement. I think he's been the best corner on Oklahoma's team since he's been on the field and gotten the opportunity to start. I don't see why he's not improving this year with Valai coaching him. And again, as you guys have talked about, Venables being a defensive-minded guy, knowing what it takes on the defensive side to win. I think Woody's could have a big season and get on that list at the end of the year. On the offensive side, I'm going to go ahead and just say it's going to be Dylan Gabriel because I can't think outside. I know Quinn Ewers and he's in Texas and we may not like him, but at this moment, I don't understand why it's Spencer Sanders on the list and not Quinn Ewers because the hype should at least be there with Quinn Ewers to drive him to the preseason, not Spencer Sanders, who hasn't actually been a good quarterback. I think the only reason he got it last year is because there wasn't really anyone else that had played a long enough season. Because if you actually look at last season, it should have been Caleb Williams on first team and not second team. And I think this year, Spencer Sanders isn't any better. Like I didn't even know he was still in college. I thought he had graduated already. I guess he had his COVID year and he's finally using it. I mean, and I can't think outside of Quinn Ewers, and I still think he might underperform this year because it's his first time in college, first year starting at Texas, and that's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure for the adult that's coaching. I can't imagine how much pressure it is for the 19-year-old quarterbacking that team. And then they still suck. I don't really see how much improvement they've made. They always underperform. I think there's no better quarterback in the Big 12 right now than Dylan Gabriel.
I think you bring up some good points. I believe Spencer Sanders he's the only quarterback in the Big 12, at least that I've seen. I think I saw the stat earlier where his passer efficiency rating has declined every single year that he's played, which, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see that continue. But I think Anton Harrison is one we missed as well. PFF depends on how you feel about them, but they've got him as one of the top-rated left tackles to be returning, and that will be eligible in the upcoming draft. So we'll see. We have a lot of people that, kind of live in that. They have a breakout year. Who knows? I mean, you look at a guy like Key Lawrence, who was great everywhere you put him last year. If he can really focus on a specific role, then he can probably do very well. I know Justin Harrington is telling a lot of people he's going to the NFL next year. I checked with some people that would know how his performance has been, and they said that he's come all new mindset. His body looks incredible. Like he's studied up. Like he looks fantastic. So I think he's going to get a lot of playing time this year, and we will see if he can impress people enough to make that call next year. So good stuff. Very good stuff. What we got? What we got? Who are you two now that we've really stripped it down to the studs?
I know. I ain't really got nobody left. Well, you took my offense. What I was gonna say, you said Anton Harrison. I think now I could also go Andrew Rain. I think he can have a big year as well. Defensively, if I had to choose somebody that you guys didn't choose, maybe Jeffrey Johnson. Just what he was brought in to do on the defensive tackle side of things, and we know what he did against us last year from Tulane, and so be able to see him do that to other people consistently. I think he's one that as well we could see on the end of that list. So moving on real quick, guys, we do a game we've been doing the last couple of weeks on our show called This or That, and so this will be fun. We'll move through it quickly. Then we'll get through to our question and answer portion where we'll put in questions from people from the chat, put them up on the screen. So it's called This or That. Basically what it is, and this is going to be fun since we have 5 people here, so we'll get all kind of different answers and rationales. I have 3 different questions. I'm going to give, obviously, 2 options. You have to choose one and kind of say why. Like if you had a gun to your head, feel like you can't choose, you got to choose. Okay? All right, so we'll start with Trav, and then we'll go around, and I'll choose last. So let's say you're a defensive coordinator, just got hired, University of Oklahoma, wherever, and you have 2 options to employ schemes, as your coach says. You do a 4-2-5 or a 3-3-5 and why? Muted.
You're muted, Travis.
Sorry, man. I'm usually pretty good at that. I'd go 4-2-5. I like having more big boys up front, just not only to eat up lanes, eat up those big bodies, but I just think having bigger people has benefited most teams. You look at the national championships; it's in the trenches. It's always bigger people. I feel like you can recruit to a 4-2-5 scheme a lot easier along the defensive line than you can recruit to a 3-3-5 scheme because simply you just have one more place to put a massive body, and it offers you a lot more flexibility in recruiting to go with that. So there's me. Now I'm mute.
Brandon?
I'll go 3-3-5. I kind of like having 3 linebackers. I think it gives you more flexibility as far as dropping someone into zone coverage and letting your corners come up and blitz. I'm a big fan of a corner blitz, safety blitz type plays. But I guess I'll go 3-3-5.
Personally, I like both schemes, but I think the 4-2-5 for me, kind of a thing on our show and why we're called Two Plane Sports for anyone that doesn't know is we believe that games are won and lost in the trenches, and we want so many big guys that they have to take 2 planes wherever the away game is. And I believe having 4 of those big guys up, along, the lineup, and they can do different stunts and different blitz packages with them. I think they can provide a lot of stress on the quarterback, and 2 solid linebackers, and with a safety, that can come down and guard a tight end if they've got a versatile tight end. I think that is the key, and I'd like 4-2-5 in my opinion.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with 4-2-5 as well because of the trenches. I think that's very important. But you can also make up for that missing linebacker by just bringing a safety down. And so it's not, I don't really think it's that big of a loss not having that third linebacker in your formation. Just, you'll have a nickel there. You're fine at the end of the day, and you can either, if you really need to in this scenario, you've got 4 big guys that will force the offensive line a little bit more, and you can have a linebacker rush and still have enough bodies back there with speed to cover a pass if you called the wrong defensive play. And or if you really just want to cover the pass, you have enough big guys to actually rush the passer. We know that the biggest thing with Lincoln Riley, and I know I've been watching the comments here. Someone said light speed D. With Lincoln Riley, if you just rush 3 and drop 8, that guy's offense is absolutely done. So I'm trying to prevent that and making sure that I have enough bodies to rush.
Love it. I would probably say 3-3-5. I'm like Brandon. I like having 3 linebackers as well. One that's pretty versatile, similar to what Brent Venables likes to do with his cheetah position. But I like both. That's why I put both up there. I thought it'd be an interesting conversation for us to have, just in case anybody gets into football or being a coach anytime soon. All right, here's our next one. Theo Weiss or Jalil Farouk to have a breakout season this year?
I'm going Theo. I think we're going to see why he was a 5-star. I think it was important that he stayed in town with Dylan Gabriel over spring break to spend time. It was just him, Smitty, and Dylan. And when I say Smitty, I mean Dylan's agent. I don't mean Schmitty. Those are 2 different people. So Dylan, it was just those 3 in there. And I talked to Smitty afterwards, and he goes, Dylan's never thrown to a guy that looks like that. I mean, and he played with a couple NFL guys at UCF. He goes, he's never played with somebody that looks and like an NFL player like Theo Weiss does. I think they're going to have that chemistry right off the bat. And honestly, this is kind of a make or break here for Theo. I mean, highly touted kid, 5-star obviously in that incredible 2019 class. He's the last one standing. When you look at Stogner, Radler, Hazelwood, Bridges, and Theo's the last one. He's our last hope of that class, being like, oh man, at least we had 1 first round or, whatever, right? Like at least 1 worked out, 1, got arrested and, the other 3 transferred. We've got our hope for the 2019 class, I feel, is tied up right in Theo Weiss. So maybe it's just me being optimistic about how awesome we felt about that class, but give me the Theo Weiss stop.
I guess I'll start by saying I hope you're right. I do hope it is Theo Weiss, because you're right. I mean, he's the last hope for the 2019 class. He's a guy we were all very, very high on at the time as a 5-star. I still think he can be really special. I'd love to see him finally, get the chance to put it all together. He's fully healthy. Hopefully as that year. But I'm going to pick Jalil Farouk. On our show, Jalil Farouk is one of the guys I'm highest on. Him and Javonte Barnes, as far as the offense goes, 2 guys I just think are going to be really, really, really good. I think Jalil Farouk flashed in that bowl game. You saw that potential in just 3 catches. I expect him to be the true number 2 receiver behind Marvin Mims, and even potentially overtake Marvin Mims as the season progresses. I think Jalil Farouk is going to have a very good year for Oklahoma.
Well, I do think they both have great years. I'm going to take Theo Weiss. Theo has had some unfortunate luck with with his injuries. Obviously, now he's had a coaching change. I feel like some of this has been out of his control. It seems like he's locked in. I know he thought about leaving and decided to stay. He seems like he's on a mission because he knows that it's either now or never with him. And I feel like a lot of guys that get put into that corner, I feel like he's going to come out swinging. I think he knows it. And I think him and Mims are going to tear it up this year. Dylan Gabriel is going to be able to get the ball to them accurately and often. And I think Levy's going to open up the system and really let these guys fly. And I feel like he's going to have his best year yet. And I know he's working his way and trying to put together a great season so he can go to the NFL. You have to at this point. If you have those aspirations, this is your last chance.
I really, really wanted to say Jalil Farouk whenever you first put up the question because of what Brandon said. I think we talked about Jalil Farouk. We've talked about him since he since the summer before last season, talking about how he was going to be a really special wide receiver. But because of Travis's explanation, he changed my mind, and I got to go with Theo Weiss. And I mean, like Brum said, he's had some unfortunate injury issues over his time at Oklahoma. It would be nice to say there was a success story out of that recruiting class, because it has just been with the higher level recruits, it's been kind of a tragedy. But Theo, he's a big body. I think that what he does this season with Dylan Gabriel, and I think it could be really, really special, will show us what this offense can do moving forward. Because if we looked at the recruitment of the wide receiver position, for the most part, it's really, really big guys, tall, long receivers. We're definitely starting to get a little bit more normal size guys in the 5'11", 6 foot range. But at the beginning there, we got a lot of 6'3", 6'4" guys. And I think that's an indicator of what Levy wants to do. He wants to consistently have big wide receivers out there, so his quarterback can have the option to just throw it up there and make sure and let the guy compete for the ball. I think Theo's got the athletic ability. He has the hands. He just has to hopefully get through a full season with limited to zero injuries. If it's something, I think that's the only thing that can stop him at this point, and that's what has stopped him from having success, is the unfortunate injuries he's had every year.
Like that. I'm probably going to go with Theo Weiss as well, just from the standpoint of, if you look at kind of as opposed to Lincoln Riley's, which we, for whatever reason, the last couple of years, we saw that the numbers way spread out in thin reception numbers, thin yard numbers. Obviously, Marvin Mims, I think, having 35 receptions last year and 600 yards total, being the leading receiver. Whereas in Jeff Levy's offense, I believe his leading receiver had around 70 to 80 catches and over 1,000 yards. And then, second leading receiver was a little bit lower than that. So if we're looking at it like Mims and Weiss are going to be the two guys, if Weiss is going to get more targets than Farouk, that's probably what I'd say. But I do think I like Jalil Farouk a lot, like you guys said. I like the talent that he brings. I remember watching the Alamo Bowl and just seeing him flash. I mean, big time. Seeing him pop, physical, fast, he just looked like a dude. So I'm excited for all of it, all the way around. All right, last one, and we always do a food one because I'm a foodie. Travis is a foodie. Obviously, he owns restaurants, so we always got to do a food one in honor of his wings that he brought on today. Flats or drums?
Flats. It's better meat. I wish I had one left, because I would show y'all how to eat it. you take both bones and you twist the ulna. If we're speaking medically, you twist the ulna, you pull it out. You've got all the meat on one bone. You can dip that bone. You can do whatever you want. One in, one out. It's better meat. It's more tender. There's not all those tendons on the end of the drum. People like eating drums because it's a handle, and they can't figure out that you can just eat with your hands. It's fine. It's the same people that just they probably use those little corn on the cob holders that you stick into each side of the corn on the cob because they're too afraid to touch their food. That's who likes drums. Flats are the way to go.
I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna pick flats. It's hard to follow that up, but flats is the move.
I mean, I feel like it's the obvious answer. Flats. It's easier. It's just better. Don't get me wrong. I like chicken wings either way. If they're drums or flats, it doesn't matter. But if I got to pick one, flats would be for me as well.
Well, boys, you made this one a little boring, so I'm gonna go with drums just to mix it up here for the crowd. Like Travis said, it's a handle. Why get your hands so messy? Just put it in your mouth, start biting. Just be, a little cartilage or whatever it is up there. It never killed anyone. You're fine. Just chew through it. Your teeth can handle it. Swallow it. It'll be back in a few hours or the next day, whatever. You're fine.
Oh man, that's hilarious. I'm a big flats guy myself as well. Same reason that Travis stated. It just, the meat's better. I can't get behind. I'll eat drums, just like Brandon said, or Jacob said. Excuse me. I'll eat drums, but flats. If I had to choose, I would go flats.
I do agree though. Flats are way better. I'm trying.
I could tell. I knew you just wanted to go against the grain. I feel it. Hey, I
feel like opening with me, I might have bullied some people into their opinions a little bit, but sorry about
that. Your question before he went in. He said, first of all, the meat's better. Let me just tell you that right now. Hey, I want to give you guys just real quick before we get into our Q&A time. We'll go about 10, 15 more minutes. Don't want to take too much of your guys' night. But I want to give each of you guys a chance to just explain kind of how two playing sports got together. People who don't know how you guys met, a little bit of your backstories. You don't have to give a crime. What am I saying? A comic book backstory and everything like that. But maybe just a little bit about each of you and then how you guys kind of got together. If that's all right.
Bro, me and Jacob met.
Sorry, my bad.
Me and Jacob met in high school. Sophomore year, became really close. He ended up going to OU. I followed him there. We became roommates. Kind of met Jose a year before college, but we ended up all being roommates. All three of us had some good times. There was a night we were watching NFL football, I believe, and we may have had a couple drinks, one or two, and we were talking about the NFL, how you can only have a certain amount of people on the roster. It's 53. You can only have 53 on a roster in the NFL. And I was like, well, in college, there's not that limit. So, and we believe that games are won and lost in the trenches. So I said, if I was recruiting for OU, I'm not worried about quarterbacks, receivers, running backs, DBs, linebackers, any of that stuff. I'm just going to get 5 stars on the offensive line and defensive line and as many as we can. And ideally, we get so many 5-star offensive linemen and defensive linemen that we need 2 planes to travel to road games. And 2 Plane Sports was born.
Yeah, and we lived together for pretty much the entire time, throughout college, and we've stayed close ever since. We debated each other all about sports. That's all we watched. That's all we talked about when we were living together and going to school. That's all that really mattered to us going through it. And intense debates. Debating until 3 o'clock in the morning. Plenty of nights like that. And then, we kind of live in different areas now. Brandon and I are both in Oklahoma, but Jose's in Phoenix now. And it's kind of a way for us to, still talk all the time and keep up with each other. And we just really, we didn't think it would get this big. We're posting 3 times a week now, and we really enjoy doing it. And it was just more of a way, if it took off, great. If not, we're just going to do it because we enjoy it.
Yeah. Pretty much with easy. I said I remember when we were working on the idea. It was during the COVID, and in Arizona we didn't really shut down for the beginning of it. It didn't really shut down till middle of the summer. So I was in the gym. I was really bored because I got furloughed. So all day I was just either playing video games or just bored out of my mind watching TV. So one time I decided to go to the gym, doing legs that day. And it's like, well, maybe having a podcast would be fun because, like Brum said, we just yelled at each other for hours in college. It was screaming matches. There was one time me and Brandon almost fist fought, and the argument was who was the bigger douchebag, LeVar Ball or Johnny Manziel. It literally wasn't anything serious. It was that bad. So that obviously, and we all love Oklahoma sports. At first we wanted to just do sports in general because like Brum said, it was a way for us to stay connected. We love NFL, we love Oklahoma, we love basketball. We just kind of wanted to talk about anything. Then we noticed that RJ kind of moved on to a different opportunity. There's a big space there for Oklahoma focused stuff. So we were like, all right, let's do Oklahoma football. That's what the people want. We'll try to dabble in basketball, this other sports as much as we can, but everyone wants to know about Oklahoma football. That's the thing in the state. So let's focus on that. And yeah, it's just kind of grown gradually. We were very surprised. Whenever it got 100 subscribers, let alone over 4,000, we're just trying to grow it as much as we can now.
Did you also see that your shotgunning thing is carrying over to this live stream?
I know, boys. I'm sorry about that. It was an accident. So I just got back from my honeymoon, and I got on a live stream that they did I think it was a week ago, and I was on it, and then I got off because we were heading to a different part of our honeymoon, and I was just watching the live stream, and I kind of bullied these guys into just shotgunning beer on the live stream, and I guess it's following us now.
Man, what a opening! I mean, shotgun beers. What Stone Cold Steve Austin style? Is that
Nah, it's got to get in your mouth for this one.
I got you. No, that's pretty cool. And Jacob, I resonated especially with something you said. You know, Trav and I, you know, when we met, it's about almost 2 years ago now that we first kind of started chatting on Twitter, and just have become close and become real life friends. And we just started the podcast, the JP and Trav show, just because we both enjoy speaking. And so, you know, obviously the channel's grown. Trav obviously has grown himself and is doing well with the OU Rumors and News on Twitter, and now being part of the ref as well. So, you know, it's awesome to see, you know, when you just like talking about things, sometimes things just come rather than try so hard to get stuff to fit into place. So that's awesome to hear that you guys are all friends and roommates, that has just kind of kept this thing going. Trav, it looked like you had something to say. Go ahead, man.
Well, Brandon, we got to talk at some point about my NFL roster building theories. I got a pretty grand theory about the line and stuff that I really want to bounce off you sometimes if you got a half hour or so to talk about it. So
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm down whenever, but
absolutely.
But yeah, it's funny. I think next time we have you guys on, we're gonna rotate, because I feel like Jose keeps on getting the short end of the stick after like everybody says everything. He's like, well, they already said everything, or oh well, everybody else's answers. I'm like, we got to let Jose kick it off, because apparently he's shotgunning beers and doing all kinds of crazy stuff to kick it off. So we got to put him at leadoff hitter every once in a while. So that was one thing that was fun at the press conferences at College World Series, was like, especially college kids, they're like, so how do you feel things went, blah 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 blah. And one kid would answer, and then they'd give, you know, the next kid be like, all right, what do you think? He's like, he said it all. He said it all. Like, that's all. That's all the second kid ever said was like, yeah, I just agree with him. I'm like, what's the point of having two of you guys up here? This is ridiculous. But yeah, I appreciate you guys having on. I'm looking forward to getting into the question section.
Yeah, and something before we go into that, we'll have to have you guys come on our show. We've done now 2 live streams. We're just starting to get into this, setting, and we'll have to get you guys on over, the next few weeks or so before the football season kicks off.
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
We'd love to come on. All right, let's get into our Q&A portion of the show. You guys know what it is. Make sure you drop your questions below. I'm proud of most of you because you've been here long enough to know. And boys, I'll tell you, when we first started doing this, people would be firing off questions immediately, like 40, 50 deep. And by the time they already knew we got to the Q&A portion at the end, and they got used to it, but they're still firing off questions. I'm like, look, I'm not scrolling back up. I'm sorry. Like, if you ask your question at the 5-minute mark of the show, it's probably not getting answered. So wait until I put up Q&A and then give us your questions. So guys, go ahead and drop your questions in the chat, and we'll get going here. We've got about another 10 minutes or so to answer some of these questions that you have. Here's the first one from OKC Fanatic. Does Billy Bowman start at any point this season? And like Trav said, let's go ahead and start with Jose first, and we'll go the opposite way. Jose,
I hope so. We still kind of do, but whenever we first started the channel, we did a series called Who Dat, and we pretty much just focused on one player in that recruiting class. So we covered Billy Bowman last offseason, and I compared him to potentially being the next Charles Woodson because of just his athletic ability. In high school, he played both sides of the ball. I still think that if he was given the opportunity in college, he could do the same. If there's ever a time where we're a little bit light on receivers, I think that dude can step up and be a slot just because he's a monster-sized human. We've all seen the picture that's been circulating Twitter. I don't think a hit would hurt him. I think he would actually be hurting the defender that tries to come and gets him. So I hope he starts. I think there's a possibility at the safety position. I think the only one that we can all assume is maybe written in is Key Lawrence, but he played well at corner last year, and like Travis said, Justin Harrington has a good opportunity to play this year, so it's really just gonna have to be how much he's developing at his new spot. Because it sounds like Venables is kind of set on keeping him at corner or at safety until he is so comfortable with that he can naturally move on to the next place.
Obviously that picture that's floating around of Billy Bowman and how much muscle and what he's looking like right now. I do think he does. Start. I think so, because I think this is going to be a true and honest, open competition going into the fall. Jose, I agree with you. Key Lawrence seems to be more of a penciled-in starter. Harrington is looking good. I do think Bowman gets his shot. He finally can focus on one position now and get the proper coaching that he needs. He really kind of got thrown to the fire last year, and I don't think he got a fair shake last year. So I think he does. Whether it's game one or not, I'm not sure. But at some point, someone's bound to get hurt, someone's bound to get banged up, or someone's not producing. And I feel like this staff, if you're struggling, you got someone right behind you that can fill in and start competing at a high level.
Yeah, I think so. I think the only guys that I can think of right now that come to head that are penciled in starters that I would take to the bank is Woody Washington and Key Lawrence, and I don't know exactly where. I think Woody starts at one of the corners. I would like to see Key start at a safety spot, but we'll see. You guys mentioned Harrington, but guys like Kenai Walker, C.J. Colton, Trey Morrison, we're high on all those guys. Ultimately, I guess I'll side with Brum and say at some point he starts. I don't know if he starts week one, but somewhere along the season, I think he'll get to start a little bit.
Yeah, I think the coaching staff had even talked about it. They kind of felt like they did him a disservice last year by kind of playing him all over the place, saying, "Hey, you know what? We're short at corner here. We'll play a little safety here." They came out very early and said he's just going to play safety. Like, this is what he's going to do. And I think being one of those guys that so early on they identified this is where you're going to play will certainly help him. I do want to speak a little bit to the kind of the overall philosophy when it comes to having a new coaching staff, right? You see a lot of these guys that kind of had been lost on the depth chart, whether that is a Justin Harrington, whether that's a Jordan Kelly, whether that's a Bray Walker, or whether that's anybody like that. You're thinking, or whether it's, dare I say, a Marcus Major. This is a new coaching staff. The slate is clean. And so this isn't a situation where you've had the same starters for a couple years. Once you get your starting job, your new coach or your coach kind of knows about you. You've always been a third stringer. You're going to be a third stringer the rest of your time here, unless there's injuries, is what it is. Like, this coaching staff, what I think we're going to see is a lot more competitive second halves. I don't think we're going to see much of a drop off at all, because I think there are going to be dudes saying, look, I have an opportunity here that these coaches don't know really what I'm all about in these games. I'm going to have an opportunity to carve out more playing time with a new coaching staff, as opposed to, what I might with a coaching staff that's a little more established. So I think you're going to get a lot of guys, showing out in special teams and then showing out in defense with a different mentality altogether. We know Venables brings a different mentality in general, but a different mentality of, I have a new lease on life and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make the most of it.
You're muted.
Man, wow, so crazy. I think that he has opportunity to start for sure. I think at some point in the season you could see him, but again, like Brandon stated, you still have a lot of guys like Colton and even Trey Morrison that have something to say about that potentially. So I'm excited to see just where we go. But he looks amazing. I'll say that he looks amazing. Here's another couple questions we'll get through, and again, guys, we got 5 people on here today, so I'm not going to be able to choose everybody. We're not going to be able to rapid fire, so don't get offended if I don't choose you. Still love you. All right. Jet says, over under 9 wins this season should be a quick one. Give us 30
Over.
seconds.
Over.
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 Pretty easy. I don't think there's any way that this team finishes 8-4. going in the bowl.
This might sound homerish, but I think 12-0 is more likely than under 9 wins, just with the way the schedule looks.
I'll shift it. Let's go again. Over under 10 wins this season. Go.
Over.
Counting the bowl game?
No.
No. Oh, I kind of see us going 10-2 if I'm being completely honest.
Who are the 2 losses?
I mean, Texas, as much as we don't want to, say that they're great, every year it doesn't matter whichever team is down. They're going to both compete at a high level. Baylor still, Baylor's there. I don't know. I just feel like in Oklahoma State, as much as we don't want to admit it, they're still solid. And I just think there might be some growing pains, but I could definitely see them going over 10 wins. I feel like it's safe to assume the regular season would be 10-2, kind of as a worst case scenario, in my opinion.
I'm there as well.
I don't know, man. I thought we were gonna go 10-2, but I'm gonna pick over. I don't think we lose in Texas because that game is just too intense. It's always close, no matter how good or bad or what the ranking of the team is. It's always a close enough game where we're all stressing about it. And yeah, honestly, the only team that I think is still good enough to beat Oklahoma is Baylor. I'm a big fan of Dave Aranda. I think that guy is a very good head coach.
I love that, like the 10-2 guy. Initially, was like, oh man, what are you talking about? 10-2, like there's no way we're going to be that bad. Like that's what cracks me up, and just the amount of confidence going into this season. It's a good time to be an Oklahoma fan. Cracks me up. I don't think anybody else looking at a first time head coach is going to sit there and be like, man, I feel like I'm the only Debbie Downer in this group saying we're going to be a 10-win team. That would really suck. But that's the reality of the situation.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Next question is specifically for Brandon from his little brother. Like, why do you believe that Tua is better than Justin Herbert?
I don't believe that. I'm a Dolphins fan. I'm a Tua supporter because of that. He's not better than Justin Herbert at this point in their careers.
Finally, you admitted it.
At this point in their careers, he left a little backdoor exit right there for you.
We bullied him so hard to try to get that answer out of him, and I'm glad he asked that question. There's one time we got him to just absolutely stop talking to us for a night because we just kept throwing that out there.
I like this next question because you guys talk about Jalil Farouk a lot. Are we getting Farouk drunk the same way we got Rambo drunk post that Orange Bowl Bama game, where in the second half we remember he, had that big catch from Kyler Murray, that big touchdown catch, and so now we're saying, oh, here we go, Charleston Rambo, and then next year was underwhelming. What do you?
I think it's certainly possible, and I think the way it's worded makes it seem like we literally, a bunch of us got together and found Charleston Rambo and fed him shots. That's how I initially read it, and I was like, I wasn't a part of that. I definitely didn't.
Yeah, that's the way I read it too. I was like,
I didn't get Charleston. I did not get Charleston Rambo drunk personally, but yes, reading it as, are we getting drunk on Rambo or drunk on Farouk? That's completely fair. I do think that with Rambo, he was very good at Miami and was able to get drafted, and obviously he's on the Panthers now with Baker. But I think we got wowed off of that one deep ball. Had a blue by his receiver, caught it, over the shoulder, gorgeous throw from Kyler. I also think we were getting our asses kicked in that game, and we just wanted something to point to as a bright spot. And he was a bright spot in that. Between that and the CeeDee Lamb block, I'm pretty sure those are the two things that people were like, oh man, that Bama game, man, really, really did something. So I think Farouk showed us a little bit more versatility. in his game against Oregon, but it's certainly a fair question because it wouldn't be the first time that somebody's had a big bowl game and we just assume, oh, breakout season coming, and then we forget that maybe in the bowl game they didn't play against the best competition. I mean, even Florida. I mean, every single player that had a rushing play against Florida rushed for their career high against Florida. Every single one. So that would stand to reason that everybody's having breakout years the next year. Well, that didn't quite work out so well. So, no, it's certainly a fair question, but I think he's a little more versatile.
Good question, but I don't think we are. I've been so high on Jalil Farooq since the bowl game, since before the bowl game, as Jose alluded to in our summer series when we started talking about him. There's not a lot of weaknesses in Jalil Farooq's game, in my opinion. Kind of alluding to Travis's point about his versatility. I think he's a way better blocker as a receiver than Charles Rambo was. I think I just see him as a better overall wide receiver than Charles Rambo. I've been high on him since the beginning. I'm not going to back down now. I think he's going to be the number 2 receiver on the team this year. So, no, I don't think so. But it is a fair question.
It depends on what your definition is. Do I think he's going to have his, a career year next year? No, because I think he'll have his career year, in the next 2 or 3 years after, he plays quite a bit this upcoming season. We assume he will anyway. I think it's a fair question. I just think we shouldn't have super high expectations considering Marvin Mims and Theo Weiss and Drake Stoops and everyone else is there, a little more veteran guys. Farooq will get his looks. I just wouldn't expect, 1,000+ yards. I mean, if he does, I'll eat my words and I don't care. I'll be happy. If he has 1,000 yards this fall, then OU's doing something right. I think we got to maintain expectations. I do think he's going to be extremely good in his OU career. Maybe not this year, this upcoming year, but the following year, just because I think Weiss and Mims are going to eat up a lot of targets and catches.
I don't think we're getting Farooq drunk. He's not of age yet. Once he's 21, I'm just kidding. I don't think we are. I think the reason I'm so high on him is because of the spring game. If I recall, and if someone wants to correct me, please do. He was targeted a decent amount of times. He might have not had a huge stat line, but he was getting targeted quite a bit by Dylan Gabriel for how I remember it. Not that others weren't, but it seemed like they had a pretty natural connection. QB to wide receiver. I think that's really the only reason at this point that I'm still high on how good he can be. But I mean, it's like you guys said, there's a lot of depth, a lot more depth now at that room than there was during the bowl game and even during the spring game. So he's going to have to earn his time. But if he does, I think he'll be really good.
Great. Good analysis. 2 more questions and then we'll get you guys out of here. Mike Sparks asked, what do we think happens at Nebraska this fall? Trav, I want to start this off with you. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think we talked about you potentially thought about going to Lincoln this year for the game. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll definitely be in Lincoln. KREF will be in Lincoln. I believe we'll be hopefully doing radio there Friday, doing some type of get together for everybody, and then going to the game. So stay tuned to the old Twitter to see how that's going. But I think we win by, I'm gonna call it 10. Nebraska was the best 3-win team in the country last year, just like we were the worst 9-0 team at some point in the country. But they've got to learn how to finish those games. I don't think Scott Frost has learned much on how to finish those games, and I think we're going to be improved. I do like Casey Thompson. He has thrown a lot of touchdowns against us already. I don't expect that to change much. I think he'll have a fine day. And they were so close to winning a lot of games against a lot of top opponents last year, highly ranked opponents last year, us being one of them. So I think it's a close game, but I mean, a close game that's still a double-digit win.
Yeah, they gave us everything we wanted last year in Norman. I think this year we'll be more prepared. I think Venables is going to – I just think he's overall going to be a better head coach. I don't think we're going to be in some of those situations with lesser teams. We kind of circled that one on our show as a game that's kind of scary, kind of a trap game. You know that place is going to be rocking. It's going to be 100,000 strong against us. It's going to be closer than I think we want it to be, but I think Oklahoma squeaks it out. 7 or 6 or something.
This might be a bold take, but I think OU wins by 2 touchdowns or more. And if they do so and they blow them out, Scott Frost might be getting canned after that game. I don't know. I just feel like Venables, he knows what it means, that rivalry. Playing Nebraska back in the day, I feel like he's a great motivator. He's going to instill it in these guys while, Nebraska's not going to be on the schedule, for year in, year out. He's going to be able to teach these guys what this means to the fans. And, all these kids that are on this roster, I guess 95% of them probably never watched an OU Nebraska game when they were really young growing up, or they weren't even, born at this point to watch some of those older games. I think Venables is going to teach them about that rivalry, the history, and I think OU will come out prepared. And I think OU wins by 14-17. I think OU takes care of business in Lincoln. It's a statement game. It's Venables' first big game as a Sooners head coach. He's going to have the guys ready, and I think Scott Frost, the heat on the seat gets a little bit hotter. And if it might be over. I'm not sure. It's a bold take.
Yeah, I also think we win, but I think it's going to be pretty close. It's going to end up being how Levy's offense is rolling at that point. If he can score, I don't think the defense is going to struggle very much. The defense didn't really struggle too much last year. It was in the second half where it really started getting bad. But first half, it, not great, but it didn't seem terrible either. So now with Venables, I think the defense will be just fine. It's just can Levy keep up? I think he will. I think it'll be just fine. It'll just be maybe like a 3-point game, 6-point game, something like that. This is just because it's going to be away in Lincoln. That's going to be a tough environment to play in.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun to see what Lincoln's like. I know I'm excited for Trav to get up there. Wish I could, but it's quite the drive, and I don't have the time with my job and obviously having a daughter and everything like that. But I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to be like, and I think that I would align with Jacob. I think that, especially based off of last year, I like Casey Thompson. I do. I'm just not. I'm not sold on Scott Frost even offensively, and I think that we could look at OU winning by 2 touchdowns or more. I don't think that's unrealistic at all.
And this is just something I was going to say. One more thing about that game: the recruitment of Malachi Coleman. I think the results of this game of OU Nebraska might factor into his recruitment, since he's from Lincoln, Nebraska. OU puts on a show. He might want to come to OU after that. I'm not 100% sure, but it just seems like it might have an impact.
Yeah, of course. The last time, a young, scrappy quarterback, undersized, gamer, gutsy quarterback went into a hostile road environment with 100,000 strong against him. The legend of Baker Mayfield started. So I don't know. Maybe we see a big comeback effort with Dylan Gabriel playing his part of Baker Mayfield, and then parlaying it into the number 1 overall pick. Who knows? Who amongst us, right? Yeah.
All right, last question. This is a fascinating one, a good one to end on. Jeremy asks, who's a starter from last year's team that does not start this year under the new coaching regime? Jose, we can start with you.
That's a good question. I got to think.
Eric Gray.
Yeah, are we talking about by end of season or by week 1? Because
that's Eric Gray's the first one comes to mind. But yeah, that if we can count him,
I would say let's just say beginning season, because we'll just say through fall camp they make their evaluations.
I'm picking DJ Graham. He was starting corner at the end of the year. I think Kanai Walker has a lot to say about that other position. Great question, Jeremy.
Great question.
That's a hard question.
Yeah, I'm. Well, last year was it Robert Congle started? Part of the year. I think Andrew Rain will take that role and take it comfortably the entire length of the season.
Didn't he only start though because Rame had COVID or something week 1 or 2?
Yeah, but
that doesn't count.
Well, but he did come in at some points during the games, like in the middle of the games when Rain was struggling a bit. Trying to think. I mean, it's a hard question to really think about.
I got my
think
answer.
DJ. Okay, go ahead.
Deshaun White. I think that Jaron Kanek can come in and start taking some time away from him. Danny Stutzman is already there. And I know a lot of people, and not that I don't. Kobe is a great player. I think Kip Lewis is going to make a significant enough jump from watching like the highlights on all the recruiting platforms. He's just a very smart linebacker. I think he's got an opportunity. If he can do something, that's going to be my prediction here. If he can do something to start taking time away, I don't see why not. I don't see why Deshaun White would stick around, especially with the potential that Jaron Kanek has specifically to start taking away minutes from him.
Wow.
That's a bold take.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it is.
But I like it though. It could happen for sure. Trav,
What's your answer, JP?
Trav, did you say Eric Gray? Brandon, you said Eric Gray, right?
I said Eric Gray, yeah.
Okay. Trav, did you have
Trav
one?
said DJ Graham.
DJ Graham, that's what you said.
Yeah, that's where I was going to, and I got to make my bold predictions.
Man, it's a good question.
Who were our guards last year?
They're
Chris
gone.
Murray. And
Well, no, I guess Tyrese was a right tackle last year, even though he's been a guard. It was Chris Murray and Hayes. Swenson's not there anymore, right? He's gone, right? He graduated.
Correct.
I was gonna say him, but man, dang guys. I mean, you might pick all of them, to be honest.
This one's tough. This one's tough.
I would probably go DJ Graham myself as well, because I don't see Key Lawrence being taken out. I don't see Deshaun White being taken out, but I can understand why you would say that.
It's
Jalen Redmond. I can't see Jalen Redmond being taken out.
This might be a crazy take, but does Jalil Farouk cut into the time of Drake Stoops?
Yes.
No.
I don't think so.
No, Brandon says
I'm just fishing. I'm trying to think of potential.
Real quick,
he's been the best receiver in spring.
Anything you keeps asking where Brandon got the shirt, we got it from our friend that used to work at Barstool OU. I don't know if they still make them.
You said Drake's was the best in spring practice, Trav?
The whole time.
Yeah, so definitely not there. I'm not sure. Could.
What about Caden Helms over Braden Willis? Any chance there? No, not yet.
I don't think he's ready yet. I don't think he's big enough.
Different styles.
Yeah. And he also didn't give I don't see if they didn't give Caden enough opportunity in the spring game. I don't think they believe he's physically prepared to take that spot yet.
Yeah. Does Wanya Morris? I know he started a little bit, throughout the year. Does Savion Byrd push his spot? I don't know.
I was going next, actually.
Maybe.
Does Wanya Morris start?
What's your answer, Jeremy? Hopefully he's still in here. But...
He texted me and said, I just had to try to stump y'all. I have no clue to the answer to this one.
All right. Well, yeah, that's a difficult one to put in front of us, but
That's
it's a good
all right.
question.
It's a good question. No, it's, like I said, good one to end on. Man, Jose, Jacob, and Brandon, we have so enjoyed having you guys on the show tonight. It's been a blast. We normally only go an hour, but we went an hour and a half just because it was that fun being with you guys. And thanks for being willing to come on and all that.
That was awesome. Anytime. We
Yeah.
really appreciate you having us. It was a good time.
Definitely, and we'll have to get you on ours as well in the near future.
Absolutely. We'd love to get on there. Hopefully, Trav and I can just let us know, hit us up, and we'll get on there. Just a reminder, guys, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to Two Plane Sports on YouTube. I believe that's their same name on Twitter. Make sure you follow them. Obviously, you see Trav and I's ads. Make sure you subscribe to the channel here. Stay up to date on all of our content. Obviously, we have the Wednesday nights that we do every week. Then I drop the occasional video as well. Also, don't forget about Trav's OU Rumors and News Space on Twitter on Saturday. You're going to have Parker there with him, as well as potentially some recruits, even some that may be hoping to commit soon. So make sure you guys go ahead and check that out. With that being said, guys, again, appreciate it. I'll see the rest of you guys next week. Boomer.
Hey, appreciate everybody. I'll see you
That was
again.
awesome.
Yep. See you guys.